Moment of truth, we are about to watch this thing roll for the first time.
We know there are a few modifications we still need to make to it, but it's super exciting to find out if like our version 1 prototype even works at all.
We're Courtney and Riley Casey. After spending almost 3 months building the truck camper of our dreams, we sold our tiny house and hit the road to ski, mountain bike, and take our first vacation in 5 years. After months of travel, we fell in love with North Idaho and bought 20 acres of raw, off-grid land. Follow along as we live full-time in a truck camper and build our dream barn dominium.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites to marketing tools, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for building an online business. We are back at it today, and I am hopeful we're going to have a track assembled.
We're gonna try to build one complete one to prove that it works before we go on and build the other 3.
I'm not going to lie, it feels incredibly silly to be building a snow track while we're in California.
But given the severity of Idaho winters, I think once we get this Jeep up to the Idaho homestead, it's gonna be incredibly useful.
And it's fun. Let's do it.
We're using these trailer spindles and hubs for the pivot assembly, but it's got a big old radius on it. So I made this, it's basically a spacer ring to help space the spindle away. Anyways, maybe it makes more sense just to show you. So this is the drive hub that's gonna bolt onto the Jeep just like a wheel would. When you drive the Jeep, this rotates. But we don't want the carrier that the track rides on to rotate with this wheel. This trailer spindle is gonna get welded to the center of this. It'll spin with this drive hub, but this trailer hub will be mounted to this spindle and it will not rotate as this drive hub goes around. So the track carrier is going to be attached to the trailer hub. So these holes on the back side of the spindle are actually for holding the trailer brakes on, and we don't need them at all. They collide with the Jeep bolt pattern in our hub. So I'm going to cut these off of the spindles. 2 down, 19 to go, and then 3 more tracks worth after that. But this new bandsaw works great. Now it wouldn't be a new Harbor Freight tool without some drama. I noticed that this cam bearing that keeps the blade straight wasn't turning, which over time I think would heat the blade in that spot and eventually break the blade. Plus, in order to get these cuts really square, it's critical that these cam bearings be adjusted right. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I'm gonna try to get this thing working better. All right, both bearings are turning now, so that's a good sign. Unfortunately, I'd already adjusted everything in square before I noticed that, and now I bet it's out of square again, time to readjust it all. But honestly, for the price of this thing, I can't really complain about having to do a little work to it. Before we start assembling these tracks, I want to examine the back spacing really carefully. The back spacing defines how far the wheel sticks out, or in our case, how far the snow tracks will stick out. Too little back spacing, and we put a lot of extra stress on the hub assembly of the Jeep. Too much back spacing, and the tracks won't fit.
Oh gosh, Alex.
Okay.
These are 12.5-inch wide tires, but our tracks are 15 inches wide. So we're gonna need more clearance to make sure that they don't rub on things. Up front here, there's actually plenty of room between the tire and the suspension, but in the back here, there's not a whole lot of room, especially when this thing starts flexing. So I don't really want the track to be any closer to the Jeep than the tire is.
Asked Riley when he relocated it if it would come. I think this is a different one.
I think it is, it's smaller.
I didn't know we were gonna be relocating tarantulas all week.
So this is mocked up as if the entire thing were built center or 0 offset. I think we're gonna have to go to something more like a +1 offset and move this whole track out a little bit for more room. Oh, it's gonna be so awesome. Things are about to get permanent.
And expensive.
Hopefully I don't mess up.
I don't think you will.
Basically, we have 22 of these little pieces of tubing now to figure out how to mount in here square. I think the plan is to do 4 of them, weld this on, do a bunch of measuring, make sure that's all square, and then use these 2 to get the rest of them aligned. I don't think I explained that well. I think it's actually square. It looked like it was rolling true. I think it's actually square. This is gonna work.
Don't sound so surprised.
It's not even that heavy. Now, to see if it even fits the track correctly. I think it fits. It looks like it fits. As best I can wrangle it, it fits. Yeah, so when you go forward, it's gonna drive against one side, and when you go backwards, it's gonna slip and it's gonna drive against the other side.
Gotcha.
This is the spindle where all the weight of the Jeep will be carried. It goes in like that. And then this little spacer piece also helps stiffen it and transfer that load to the wheel studs. What do you think?
It looks like a steampunk. Is it your Halloween costume?
This? It's my hat. This is my Halloween hat.
It looks really cool. I feel like you need to post a picture of that on Instagram and just ask people what it is.
Now it's time to move on to what I'm calling the skis. These are the parts that hold all the idler wheels that the tracks physically roll on the snow around. I'm starting by deburring all the holes. I always try to make the holes undersized when I cut parts in the plasma table and drill them out to the correct size. That leaves a nice square round hole. We have 80 little spacers to make, and on the second one the band's all bound up. I guess there's a little piece of something stuck somewhere. Okay, I think it's free now, but we'll turn it on and make sure the blade track's straight. Somewhere between 1.65 and 1.7. Dead on in the middle. Apparently the goat found a new collar last night in the windstorm.
Stuck around his neck. How did you... It rained. Oh my gosh, look at his feeder. That's how much it rained last night.
Well, it's jammed up again.
The good news is I'm halfway done cutting, 40 of the pieces are done, and I'm using this as a bacon break.
Okay, I think we fixed it. Little pieces of metal kept getting stuck in between the cam follower bearings.
I'm cutting the last one right now. Took all day.
Yo.
Earthquake detected. Drop, cover, hold on. Do you feel anything?
No. So these are those little spacers that Courtney spent all day cutting out. The bandsaw didn't make them quite square enough. Luckily, our friend Tyler has this super cool old South Bend lathe that he was kind enough to let us use for the afternoon. So we're gonna see if we can get these all squared up.
Does turning them on the lathe take as long as it took me to cut them?
I hope not, because we only have about an hour to get this done. We're not taking a lot off these parts, just enough to get them square. That way when we assemble these skis, the wheels will all be parallel to each other and run parallel down the track. These longer pieces are gonna be used as a jig to hold the skis together while we weld them. So I'm gonna make sure that all 4 of these end up exactly the same size and square on the ends. By bumping each part in against the back of the spindle for the second machining operation, I ensure that each one ends up exactly the same length. So this South Bend lathe is probably 1940s or 50s era. It is super cool. I would love to own one of these myself. And if you don't know, the way a lathe works basically is you put your workpiece in the chuck. The motor spins the chuck against a fixed tool, and the cutting tool then cuts the workpiece. You can either cut crosswise like I am now, or longitudinally along the part as well. What I'm doing here is like extremely basic machining, but these tools are super capable. You can do all kinds of stuff, from cutting gears and threads to making precision bearings and stuff. Awesome, versatile machines to have around the garage. I want to give a huge thanks to Tyler and Carla for letting me take over their shop for the afternoon, get all those parts machined, and even take advantage of their shower.
We'd like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Through our various business ventures, we found out just how important having an online presence is. And these days, just having a website isn't enough. We quickly realized we needed to be optimized for mobile, monitor inventory, and track all of our sales data.
Squarespace has all the tools needed to get your business off the ground. With features like inventory management, mobile optimization, and secure payments, Squarespace is the perfect platform for promoting our business. Step 1 was buying our domain, which is incredibly simple. There are no hidden fees, and each domain comes with an ad-free parking page.
Check out squarespace.com/ambition strikes, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
These are the 4 long spacers that we machined yesterday to be square and all exactly the same length. These are going to be used as a jig to hold these skis perfectly parallel and perfectly square to each other. So with these bolts and sleeves holding the 2 skis perfectly parallel, it's now time to weld these center supports in. These are what's going to permanently hold the skis together in parallel. Now it's time to physically connect the drive wheel, the idler hub, and the skis to each other. This is going to end up something like this. It's going to be really critical that this also be parallel to the skis so that the tracks drive straight and don't want to walk off the skis as we go around. It's also going to be critical that we get the dimension from this hole to this hole really precise so that these fit our 136-inch tracks. So This is the 3,500 pound trailer hub that's gonna act as our idler bearing. And then this piece goes on. So we've got the drive wheel positioned exactly where we want it relative to the skis. The next project will be connecting this adapter plate to the skis so that these are all connected to each other. Oh. They're heavy. But they spin. And they seem square and straight. And we're really close to test fitting the tracks. These are called HiFax sliders. Basically, these are going to go on the bottom of our skis to support the tracks in between the idler wheels. This is gonna go on there. It's like a T-slot. And so we're gonna weld this strip of metal on the bottom here for this to slide onto. Now before we fully weld it, we'll make sure the slider fits on it. Actually worked. I wasn't sure if it was gonna work. Sweet. So basically this is just super slippery plastic and there's metal pieces on the bottom of the track that slide along this plastic. It also helps keep the track aligned with the ski. All right, Courtney, what's the next step?
Eat lunch. And then assemble the track.
Hopefully everything fits, but super excited to finally give all these parts a test fit. Two bogey wheels, two spacers, a bolt and a nut. Bolt, spacer. Well, they fit with the bolt I tested them on. This is a different bolt. You need to drill that out, just a hair. Enter the step bit. This back axle is a little bit different. The holes are slotted to allow us to tension and align the track. Okay, that's where it goes. And then now the trick will be getting the drive wheel into the inside and then seeing if we can tension it up.
Can I help you?
I don't know if this means that it is far too tight at all, but I think it is too tight. The easiest solution is to just move like the one set of wheels back a little bit. I pulled the front set of wheels out for now just to give us a little more slack to get the track on and make sure that everything else seems to fit before we make any modifications to this. And the good news is that everything seems to fit and is lined up exactly how I had hoped. Okay, so we're gonna drill a new hole a little bit further back, shave the whole front end down until it fits, adjust our model so that the next 3 sets all turn out right the first time. And I think we'll have a functioning track here pretty quickly. Okay, moment of truth.
You want me to rotate it?
Woo.
Moment of truth, we are about to watch this thing roll for the first time.
We know there are a few modifications we still need to make to it, but it's super exciting to find out if like our version 1 prototype even works at all.
Does it work?
I hope so.
Let's find out.
Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Watch out, Boone.
It's rolling.
Yeah. No, it's totally working. Really? It works!
Look at that. We've got a few design changes to make, but the first track is done.
The proof of concept totally works, and I think we're going to successfully put a Jeep on tracks.
The first one's just sitting there and it looks so cool.
I can't wait to bolt it onto the Jeep. Well, to bolt all 4 onto the Jeep and see what happens.
That's it for now. As always, the easiest way for you guys to support us is just to make sure that you're subscribed, drop a like, and maybe a comment if you're enjoying this project.
Keep an eye out for a future video where we actually take this Jeep out in the snow.
But first we gotta get the rest of the tracks made.
See you next time.
I just heard you say it fits, but you sounded surprised.